Hello dear students, welcome. And today in this class we'll begin the detailed text study of your first chapter of the book Hornbill, that is The Portrait of a Lady, written by Khushwant Singh. So we have got an overview of the chapter, so it's going to be very easier for you to understand this now. Before reading the text, notice these expressions in the text, infer their meaning from the context. The thought was almost revolting, means the thought was not believable. Okay. Next is an expanse of pure white serenity. Serenity means divinity, out of this world. So this is used for grandmother, as we have already discussed it. The grandmother was like pure and white and divine. A turning point means which changes a thing on a very huge way, in a very huge way. Accepted her seclusion, loneliness with the resignation, means submission. This is also used for grandmother. This phrase was also discussed in the previous video. So grandma accepted her loneliness when she was given her separate room, and she was okay with it. A veritable bedlam of chirpings. Bedlam means confusion and chaos. So an extremely chaotic atmosphere because of chirpings of so many sparrows which grandmother used to feed. Next is frivolous rebukes. It means light-hearted rebukes. The grandmother used to shoo away the sparrows, but in a very light manner. Next is the sagging old skins of the dilapidated, damaged drum. So the drum which grandmother beat when the grandson had come, that was actually the old one, and the skin was also very old. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. So at this particular point, Khushwant Singh is 20 years old, and he says that he has seen his grandmother in a similar way. She is full of wrinkles, she is old since last 20 years, there is no change. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband, but that was hard to believe. Khushwant Singh could not believe that his grandmother used to be pretty and she was young once, because he has always seen her old. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece. Mantelpiece is a you can say wooden shelf, or some shelf made of tiles or marble. Okay, so there is the portrait of grandmother hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. The grandfather wore a big turban and loose-fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, means it was very long, it was covering almost completely covering the chest part, and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have loads and loads of grandchildren. So this is told about grandfather. Grandfather was also very old, and Khushwant Singh thought that this man could not have a wife or children. He could only and only have grandchildren. As for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. It was impossible for Khushwant Singh to believe that once his grandmother was young and pretty. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. So grandmother used to share her childhood memories, her games with Khushwant Singh, but that seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. So her playing the games seemed quite absurd, illogical, because for him she was the grandmother, and the grandmother has a different standard. Okay, she cannot play games, and she cannot tell the childhood memories, because it is very hard to believe. So this was very, very absurd and undignified on her part, that she should not have played these games because she is a grandmother. But Khushwant Singh forgets that at that time she was just a young child. and we treated it like the fables of the prophets. Fables of the prophets means the stories which are not real. Khushwant Singh thought that no, my grandmother was never a child and she was never ever young, and she used to play, she never used to play games. So he took it as the fables of the prophets. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. Okay, her face was full of wrinkles in each and every corner of the face. It was full of wrinkles. No, we were certain means we were sure that she had always been as we had known her. Khushwant Singh believed that no, she was not young at all. She could not be young. She could not be pretty. She is old and was old. He believed so. Old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older. Now she's so old that she cannot grow older, and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. There is no change. Since last 20 years she is very old. She could never ever have been pretty, but she was beautiful. This is also discussed already. She was not pretty, but she was beautiful inside. She hobbled. Hobbled means when one is not able to walk properly because of the problem in feet. So grandmother was very old, so she walked in that way. She hobbled about the house in spotless white. Spotless white here means clothes, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop. Stoop, as you all know, it's a kind of when your back is bent due to some reasons, it is because of old age. And the other telling the beads of her rosary. Rosary is that you can say religious kind of thing which you count and you pray. There are 108 beads in that. 108 beads generally are there. So this was the way grandmother used to walk. Her one hand was always on the waist so that she could balance her stoop, and with the other hand she was always counting the beads of her rosary. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale puckered face, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. So there were always silver locks, her hair, they were always scattered on her untidy face. Her face was pale due to old age, her face was puckered due to old age again, and her lips were always moving. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. This is in detail discussed in the previous video. And sometimes you get this question for 2 marks as well. Why is the grandmother compared with the landscape? Because the landscape is an expanded place which is very pure and white, and it looks divine. Similarly, grandmother who used to wear spotless white, and she was always calm and composed and pure, so she is compared with landscape. The landscape cannot breathe, but here the grandmother is breathing, and she is peaceful and she is contented, she is satisfied. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. This was the reason Khushwant Singh was very much attached to his grandmother, because for many years he was only living with his grandmother. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song. Monotonous means in a single tone. Sing-song while she bathed and dressed me, in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. She deliberately sang the prayer in a sing-song way and in a louder tone so that Khushwant Singh also learns it. I listened because I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. Okay, Khushwant Singh loved her voice, so she listened to the prayers but he never learned it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny Adan ink pot and a red pen, tie them all in a bundle and hand it to me. So many years back, especially in the village schools, the children had to have a slate that was made of wooden, okay, and they used to write with ink on this alphabets or whatever they learn, and when they come back home, that wooden slate is again you can say covered with yellow chalk, and the next day again it is ready to write something on it. So this was again grandmother's responsibility. Everything you can see is done by grandmother, so Khushwant Singh was very much dependent on her. After a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, we went to school. That was their breakfast, stale chapati with a little butter. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. So she was a very kind lady who loved animals, and she fed dogs in the village. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple in the village. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer, while the children sat in the rows on either side of the veranda, singing the alphabet or the prayer in a chorus. My grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. So the school was attached to a temple, so grandmother used to sit inside the temple and read scriptures, and Khushwant Singh and many other children sat on the both the sides of veranda, and they learned alphabets and prayers. That was their syllabus only, prayers and alphabets. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. Okay, so this time they fed the dogs, not when they were going to the school, but it is when they were returning. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. So on the way they fed the dogs. When my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us, they called us. That was a turning point in our friendship. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me because he was going in a school bus. I used to go to an English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city house. So there were no dogs in the streets, but then grandmother did not change her nature. She took to feeding sparrows. So she was always a loving kind of natured lady who fed dogs and sparrows. As the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time, she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school, even when they came to the city. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught. And when Khushwant Singh returned from school, the grandmother used to ask what he had learned. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. And this made her unhappy. She did not expect Khushwant Singh to learn all these things. She just wanted him to learn about God, scriptures, and prayers. She could not help me with my lessons. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school. She was not happy and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. She was very distressed. She was very much stressed that Khushwant Singh was not learning anything about God. One day I announced that we were being given music lessons. She was very disturbed. To her, music had lower associations. It was not meant for, you can say, good class people. Grandmother used to think so. It was the monopoly of harlots and the beggars and not meant for gentle folk. Grandmother used to believe that this is meant for harlots, hawkers and beggars, and the gentle folk. The good people should not learn music. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. She didn't say directly to Khushwant Singh that she was not liking his music lessons, but she was silent, and Khushwant Singh understood that she was not liking it. She rarely talked to me after that. So grandmother stopped asking Khushwant Singh what he had learned. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. So the common link of friendship is the common room shared by a grandmother and Khushwant Singh. But now Khushwant Singh was given a separate room. So the last common link between both of them was snapped. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. She accepted her loneliness easily with submission. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. Now she was just confined to herself. Okay, and she all the day she was busy in spinning wheels, and from sunrise to sunset she sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayers. Only in the afternoon she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. Okay, she just took a break in the afternoon. While she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirpings. So there was so much chirping that it was a chaotic atmosphere in the house when she used to feed the sparrows. Some sparrows came and perched on her legs, sat on grandmother's leg, others on her shoulders. So you can see how the sparrows were very free with the grandmother. They had a special connection. Some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. So this was how she was spending or passing her time in the city, where Khushwant Singh was busy in his own studies. So further we'll see what changes come in the relationship of Khushwant Singh and his grandmother.